Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Guess Who Scooby-Doo Season 1, What a Night for the Dark Knight. So, I don't know if this is the first episode or the last in the first season because HBO Max has it as number 1, but Wikipedia has it as number 19, so I really honestly don't know. Scooby-Doo Guess Who is a cartoon series that came out, I think around 2000 or 2019. And it's very similar to the new Scooby-Doo movies that came out back in the old days. It's where the Scooby-Doo gang will interact with a crossover from like another character, a celebrity, or from like a comic book or something like that. And so in this one, they interact with Batman, but not just any Batman, the one voiced by Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace. This was his final appearance as Batman. And so when I heard his voice in this, I'm like, no, he's dead. I'm like, it feels so good to hear his Batman voice, man. Like I'm telling you, it's just so sad he is gone. And so, I remember the new Scooby-Doo movies, like when they used to have guest spots, like the Harlem Trotters and stuff like that, and the old school Adam West Batman and stuff like that, and also actually I don't know if it was the Adam West Batman, it was the Batman from the Super Friends and stuff. And they used to have like the Joker and the Penguin and all that stuff. And it was so cool just seeing them like guest star on the show. But it only lasted for 2 seasons back in the day. Interestingly enough, this series only lasted for 2 series. I swear, man, Scooby-Doo series don't last that long. They only last about like 2 seasons at the most. 3 if they're lucky and stuff. And so I'm trying to think. And so, with this series, at first I was never gonna watch this series 'cause I didn't even know about it, to tell you the truth. Like, I really didn't even know about it. But then, because of the abomination that is Velma, I decided to watch other Scooby-Doo stuff. This is why I've been like in a Scooby-Doo zone all month. That way, I just feel like throwing up Scooby-Doo, like it's just like all up in my head and stuff like that. And so, the Scooby-Doo has been around for 50 years, man. Like, that's insane. And I've watched so many Scooby-Doo content over the years. And so when it comes to the voice cast, everybody returns that's been returning for the past 20 years or so. Gray Griffin, Matthew Lillard, Frank Walker. But this time they have a new addition. Minnie Coon, who was the voice of Velma back in What's New Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, she has now been replaced by Kate Micucci and stuff. She's a comedian, actress, and singer. I've always been a fan of hers and stuff. And so, but she does sound a lot like Velma. She was in this one. And what's that other one that's really weird that came out that only lasted for like a season or two? It's drawn in the Rick and Morty style. I can't even think about it right now. But anyway, so she is the new voice of Velma for now. But there are except for the Velma cartoon series that's on HBO Max. Lord have mercy. Anyway. Well, this episode is really interesting. It starts off with Alfred, and he's reading a letter from his niece. We don't know who his niece is yet, but we see him get attacked by Man-Bat. I'm all like, oh wow, Man-Bat. Like, they always love using him in like first Batman animation type stuff. Batman animated series, The Batman. And so we see the Mystery Incorporated gang. Now, what's interesting about this is that the animation is spot on from the old school Scooby-Doo cartoons. It's not even really a modern take on it. It's just the lines are smoother, more angular. The facial expressions have more expression to them and stuff. But yeah, it's drawn back in that classic style cartoon, and they wearing the exact classic style clothing. Nothing's been tweaked. Not only that, but they decided to go so old school that they went with the old sound effects, the way they walk, the way they run. And like even Frank is doing his classic like Fred voice. He's been kind of changing it up a while, but this is like his classic voice. It feels eerie seeing like the classic animation, but with a darker color palette, cleaner colors, and with the backgrounds are more modern, more splashes and saturation of colors for like the sky, and so the background's really the only real thing that changed other than their darker colors. But yeah, it's weird seeing that. Personally, for me, I would have loved a more updated style, but I get the homage and stuff like that. And so, like, but it's just weird seeing that old school. After you see like all these newer versions with the updated style, it's weird seeing that old school style. It kind of reminds me of those Cartoon Network promos they used to do with Scooby Doo back in the day. And so like the gang, they're like, talking about Daphne's um uncle and how they're going to visit him and all this other stuff. Everybody's personality is exactly the same as it was back in the old days. Daphne is a little bit more upbeat, I'll say. And so everybody's trying to figure out who her uncle is. He used to be a butler, he used to be like a gardener, a theater dude, and all this other stuff. And it didn't really dawn on me at first, but she's talking about Alfred, which is just weird all in itself that she's related to Alfred Pennyworth. And so, like, yeah, that's just weird. Who is the butler to Bruce Wayne slash Batman? But then they see the Batmobile driving around. And it's the classic Adam West Batmobile, but it's drawn in but the Batman is drawn in the style of Batman animated series, but with the bat symbol of the new adventures of Batman. So it's a nice little homage to every type of Batman you can think of. And so like they decide they're gonna follow him and everything. While they're on their way to what's her name's uncle's house. And they just happen to see Batman drive up to Wayne Manor. And then when they go to Wayne Manor, they can't find the Batmobile. And so when they go inside, they find a mess, and they find a letter that she wrote her uncle and stuff. And so they're very shocked that her uncle is the butler to Bruce Wayne, one of the richest men in the world and stuff. And so they're just looking around the house, and then they see that old statue, I think of William Shakespeare, and Fred messes around with it and touches the button, and then boom, the entrance to the Batcave opens up, and you can see Batman changing out of his bat suit, and he uses a batarang to throw at the mechanism to make the door close and stuff. So that keeps going on back and forth, back and forth. So you can tell this is gonna be more of a comedic version of Batman. And so he finally had enough, and he shows up in his Batgear talking about, what are you doing in Bruce Wayne's house? And stuff like that. And it felt so good to hear that voice. So this Batman's more of like a serious Batman, but also a joking Batman. He doesn't joke too much, but you can see it in his facial expressions. And so they explain and everything, how they're detectives, and her uncle been missing and this and that. So he's gonna go in and investigate. And of course they're gonna go and investigate on their own in different directions. He doesn't want to work with them because he just does everything alone. And so but he uses some knockout gas and puts them all back in their van. And so they decide they're gonna investigate this murder. See, Shaggy found some lipstick at Wayne Manor. And so they go to where whoever sells that lipstick in the mall, and it's like an abandoned place, an abandoned type mall. And so Daphne decides she's gonna steal the rest of the lipsticks that nobody's gonna buy because they're abandoned, and why not? So this Daphne's a little bit different than the older incarnations and stuff. Anyways, at some point, Velma uses her hacking skills to hack into the Bat computer and contact Batman through the Bat phone. And they're all like, somebody's holding Alfred hostage so Bruce Wayne can get him the ransom and all this other stuff. He's like, no, I think it's Kurt Langstrom and everything. And so he goes to like Arkham Asylum, but Kurt Langstrom is locked up. So he's kind of like, well, hold up. How can you be here? And there's another man bat somewhere. Now I'm thinking to myself, it must be his wife, because his wife also turns into woman bat, and of course with a lipstick that would have made sense. So anyway, they all show up at the abandoned place, and Batman's wrestling with Man Bat. At some point in time, I think there's like a chase sequence and stuff like that. And so finally, after Man Bat is like captured doing one of those weird, like goofy traps that they always use that Shaggy and what's his name, Scooby end up messing up, they decide to unmask Man Bat. And it turns out to be the Joker and everything. Now, what's crazy is that the Joker design is completely different than that of Batman the Animated Series. His skin is purple instead of white for some reason. And he kind of has an homage blend of every Joker that came before. The classic, like, Adam West style, the Super Friends style, the Batman the Animated Series, and the New Adventures and stuff. And yeah, it's just a weird, wacky episode that's kind of enjoyable and everything. And guess who voices the Joker? None other than Mark Hamill himself. But sadly, even though Mark is still alive, he has retired from playing the Joker. He put out in a statement, I think in January, saying that it hurts too much to continue with the role of the Joker knowing that Kevin has passed away. Kevin is his Batman and stuff, and he was his Joker. So he has decided to, once again, for the second time, retire from the role of the Joker. And I can totally respect that, Now, as whether or not I'll watch the rest of, like, Scooby-Doo, Guess Who? I don't know. I mean, the concept of them meeting other people is cool. But I just really don't feel like it right now, and I really don't have the time. And I really want to check out what's new Scooby-Doo. But my thing expires this week, my HBO Max. So, crap, I gotta wait and watch the rest when I get HBO Max again, whenever Titans and Doom Patrol ends and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.